Show, a program that comes to you every Sunday at a time like this when we delve into matters that are politics in this country. Politics that actually made headlines over the week is normally dissected, discussed, and is concluded at this very show, which is the Cardinal Talk show. We speak about only matters cardinal, nothing else, and that is why we bring you people who understand it best, people who give it what it is, and people who say it like it's supposed to sound. Therefore, I have no doubt that this debate today will also be so nice. Before I give them the opportunity to do some introduction, this is a week that was blessed with so much pomp and color in terms of the 58th celebrations of Madaraka Day, which actually took place in the Nyanza region. Together with that, there were misses and hits. However, it is covered as one of the best celebrations ever that has ever come. However, in this again, we had also the appointment of the 34 judges. Contrary to what guys expected, the 40 judges, only 34 were appointed. The 6 remain somewhere in the doldrums. What happened, how it happened, that is the topic we must discuss here today. And because of this reason, I want now to give chance to my guests. I have very able guys here, some of them national leaders, some of them very, very articulate and fluent advocates of the High Court. So I want to give chance on my left to my guest just for some slight introduction.
Thank you, Nick. This is Martin Ogindo, Party Leader, Green Congress of Kenya, former Member of Parliament, Lolwe constituency. I was in the 10th Parliament.
You're in the 10th Parliament.
Yeah.
Good. On my right?
I'm Paul Aul, a practicing advocate based here in Nairobi.
Yes, gentlemen, this week will go down in history as one of the best weeks that actually defined the people of Nyanza in very many aspects. And it also captured one very important lesson that was brought out of Nyanza, a place that has always been considered to be politically hostile, a place that has always had this tag of intolerant people. This place has for years been thought to be a very serious hotbed of political high voltage, sometimes violence or things like that. Today, where we're seated, there is a different perception. Now that's not our discussion today. Our discussion is pegged on what the handshake has consolidated in the last 3.5 years that culminated into what we saw in Kisumu. Is it time to say that what happened in Kisumu is now the penalty of what handshake is supposed to be? And did people from Nyanza especially reap the benefits that come with the handshake? Okello.
Thank you, Nick, for this opportunity. I first want to begin by saying that I'm lucky to be a student of history. And you'll realize that the only time Nyanza, and there is Nyanza and then there's Luo Nyanza,
Okay.
has gotten meaningful projects being launched. It's only when Raila has done some sort of deal with the president of the country. Anytime you'll see there's a road being constructed, it's either this time because there's a deal between him and Uhuru Kenyatta in the name of handshake, or after 2007 when him and Kibaki agreed to work together. Somehow, this government, because there is the Uhuru government first term and Uhuru government handshake, has treated the Luo Nyanza people as people who only deserve something going on in their area when there's a deal between them. And it's the same thing with successive governments. Yes, we are happy that projects are being launched. The people there are happy that projects are being launched. But in relation to national thinking, a region should not be left behind in the development. Whether it's Luo Nyanza, whether it's Rift Valley, whether it's Eastern, anywhere in this country, simply because, or there need not to be a handshake between the leaders of that region and the president for them to have an agenda for that region.
So you say it's not supposed to be paid on any deal whatsoever?
Yes, everybody is a taxpayer.
Yeah.
Everybody decides, or every region should be lifted it should not be pegged on deals. What if after 2022 there is no deal?
So
do we stop the
development, which is actually very unfortunate?
Yes.
Mheshimiwa, welcome to the show. Now, Okello speaks about what sounds like it's favor. Because if I don't sign a deal, if I don't get into a deal with you, I get nothing. Is it the real sort of state of affairs, or is something that should be embraced?
Thank you, Nick. I think I'm not a very good student of history, but we have seen over time what happens when there is a handshake. But I want to say that as a community, if we want to zero down into what has happened in Kisumu, we have not had our rightful share of government attention. And when you want to look at handshake, I think you want to look at it in through two lenses. One, at a national level, and two, at a local level. And at a national level, I think it's a good thing for the country that the handshake took place. And I think I'm on record as having congratulated the two statesmen. Because it brought peace into the country, and it brought calm, and now the country was able to focus on other things. So at a national level, it has really added value to this country. But then I think there was bigger expectation at a local level. The community where the Right Honorable Raila Odinga comes from were very expectant when this handshake took place. We thought we would be able now to recover or recoup, not recoup, but recover what we had lost before. And I think that should have been the case, but I think we were over-expecting because Raila is a national leader, so his first lenses are national. But I think we should assist him into appreciating that we need to use local lenses also, or local agenda when we are in these arrangements. And with that, I expected that the handshake should have addressed very pertinent issues at the local level. And the pertinent issues within the community are about when you want to touch the heart of a people, you need to touch their livelihoods. And the livelihoods of the community is resting on, number one, education and training. We are known to be a very skillful community. And any system or any government that works towards getting the best out of us in terms of education and training is really touching our lives. The second thing is that we are an agricultural community. We would have wanted this handshake to touch on our agricultural sources of livelihoods, namely fishing, sugarcane, and cotton. We wanted to see a lot of attention and investment in those areas, especially during these last 3 years of handshake. Of course, I cannot take it from the handshake that projects have been launched here and there. Without the handshake, we would not have seen those ones. So we take those ones. But I think we deserve more than we have received.
Why do you think we deserve more? Is it that other areas, like you say, handshake is supposed to be played at the national level for national cohesion and calm? That actually is fast development. Now, this development, again, can't only come in one region. It has to
come in one region.
Yeah, there must be equity in this development agenda you're talking about.
Yes. What we are saying is that we just want to get our rightful share, which we have missed. I will tell you.
In your opinion, we've missed it.
We have missed our rightful share.
Even in this handshake.
No doubt in my mind.
Carry on.
You know, Luo as a community comprise about 12% of Kenya's population. And by right, and right doesn't work, by negotiation, we need to get 12% of things. We need to get 12% of public service jobs. We need to get 12% of employment opportunities, 12% of business opportunities, 12% of government investment, 12% of government appointments. We will feel very comfortable because at that point we will not be encroaching onto any community's share. And I know Right Honorable Prime Minister is not the best person to negotiate that, but the people we elect should be able to negotiate that, anchoring on his goodwill with the president.
As it is right now.
As it is right now.
So you
So we need another conversation outside the handshake with the local leaders riding on the handshake to mainstream these issues that have undermined the development of Luo Nyanza.
Well,
up to 1992, before Kenya became a multi-party democracy, before the tribal and ethnic consciousness was awakened, the Luos used to rely on merit. And the public service was comprising 17% of public service was Luos. Today, about 6% of public service is Luo. We have been systematically being marginalized, and this goodwill that handshake has created should now be used to regain that lost quarter of the community without encroaching into any other community share.
You are so passionate about our share, which I think is not bad to demand as a taxpayer and also as a Kenyan who is also a voter. Now, I want us to delve into some of the things that actually flowered the occasion that was Madaraka Day this week. And I want to specifically speak to what was the president's speech. In his speech, what was gathered was very clear that the president is hell-bent on leaving a legacy of a united nation called Kenya. And in his speech, he didn't mince his words. He put it so clearly that the only way out for us to achieve our dream of nationhood is to remain with an example of a handshake where all Kenyans are in one accord and want to live like brothers and sisters. Yes, Paul, as a lawyer, when a president speaks like this, and we look at Kenya in 58 years, we've never had, perhaps since 1992, we've never had a moment that has been of this amount of, peace in the country. Are we picking from this handshake thing and from the president's speech that this is the best model of existence that we need in this country?
Nick, I don't know what you mean by the president's speech, but the president's speech was a lot of things.
Just if we extract that end, where he seemed to have really laid so much praise on BBI and the handshake.
Yes. Once again, I don't think it's deniable that the handshake was a good thing. Especially if you look at the 11-point agenda under which the handshake was done. And you look at, once again, I'll say I'm a student of history, you look at what was happening before, you look at the situation we have after it, and how it was able to build the country, ensure there's some sort of stability, businesses are back happening. But Nick, the other thing you've also forgotten is that after the handshake, there's been a lot of politics. One of them is, certain things might not have been intended, but they've arisen. One of them is even the politics of succession, whether the politics of succession is uniting or is dividing Kenyans, and two, whether the president we had as at the time of the handshake is the same person we have today. Because you tend to have I'll give examples.
Just what do you mean?
Yes, I have a feeling
Yeah.
the president we had as at the time of handshake was more keen on listening, was more keen on saying, come, let us reason together. I'm not so sure the current president we have today is the president who is still within that spirit of that handshake. Because if he was, even what is happening with the swearing of the judges would not have come there.
We'll come to that.
We have a feeling that...
I know as a practitioner,
I have a feeling that the spirit of the handshake somehow got lost in the politics of succession. And whatever we have right now is a different ballgame, because, Nick, you look at even the whole concept of BBI, which is something that we've discussed here. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful idea. But I think it's got to a point where both the president, and I've said it, both the president and the prime minister stop listening, and anybody who could have a different opinion to what they were championing would be shown the door. Some I understand, like even MPs and all that, if you are driving a government vehicle, you are stopped in the middle of the highway and you're told that you've been stripped of parliamentary duty. Now you are an MP, call for Uber to take you back. You go look for years. So, Nick, I'll say this, and I'm within my right to say this. That president we had at the time of handshake and this president we have now, I'm not so sure he's one and the same person. If you look at how he goes about his business and whether his lasting legacy will be to unite Kenya and leave Kenya a united nation.
When you cast doubts about the president that he is today, that he wasn't during the handshake period, I know you want to bring into the fore the appointment of the judges, which caught everybody yesterday when it was done by surprise, because it was so fast. It happened like, you guys, you wanted them, have them, and again in total disregard of what is supposed to be the law and every other thing. Are these the kind of things you mention as part of the change the president has actually had right now?
Nick, when you say that somebody wants to unite, then he should also be somebody who is listening. And if he disagrees with you, then he should tell you the reason why he's disagreeing with you. And it's not only this. The court has told this president so many things. For example, even you look at even the issue of Miguna, the court has told him, this is a Kenyan citizen. Let him come back to this country. Let him have his share of an open court. Let him defend. The president has been told that, yes, you cannot transfer KMC from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Ministry of Defense. The president has been told that the way you come up with what is called Nairobi Metropolitan is not the way to come up with it. This president has been told so many things. Don't go this direction, or give this a chance. Let people reason. Let even a whole thing about BBI. So many people have expressed opinion. Some of them, like even the Catholic Church, has come and said, this is what we think. I'm not so sure anybody who is keen on living a united nation will stop listening. He will come and say that, fine, I still think this is important, but let's engage. I have a feeling this president stopped engaging at some particular point.
Mheshimiwa, I think what is coming from the advocate here is pure admonition of the present president that we have. And I don't know whether you're buying into this idea, because indeed, he's been on that contemptuous streak of total violation of every court order that actually has come on his way. And I think he's dead focused on leaving a legacy that he doesn't even mind about listening to the courts and even being a good student of law.
Probably three things, Nick. I applauded the handshake. The subsequent progression of handshake, I think, left me behind. The whole reason behind handshake was noble, which was the acrimonious elections that we've had needed to be addressed. But I think they have addressed it. They're trying to address the right thing in the wrong way. What is causing acrimony after every election? And I've heard the president talk about ethnic majoritarian. How do you cure that? What is causing acrimony after every election is electoral injustice. Until you deal with that, you are glossing. Okay. And the BBI, the handshake tried to deal with it because the supporters thought that hatchet had been buried. But BBI ran away from that, and BBI seeks hell bent on retaining a regime that has that is created around control of power. If you create a regime to control power, you lose it because you must disenfranchise some people. So what countries should have looked at was to create a regime that is all-encompassing. And how do you do that? You do that by running away from this disenfranchising system of election, which gives us winners and losers. And I keep on going back on that. The answer lies on going proportional representation, whereby every political party that contests have a way of finding themselves into government proportionately. But then, let me leave that aside. The president of late, especially when he spoke in Kisumu, I want to agree with Okello that you need to be authentic as a leader. Today, when we're looking at our president, we don't see authenticity in his speech. What he says doesn't come out through his body language. And I think characteristic of our people were very celebratory. You can see the people of Kisumu were very happy to receive the president, and the president was carried away. But
by that warm welcome.
By that warm welcome. But then now when he was speaking, now to bring out tangible things to appease this warm reception, then his speech was, his body language was not matching his speech.
So it seems to be at crossroads with what he says and what he wants to act. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because he doesn't mean what he's saying, and he doesn't say what he means.
Well, a strong indictment on the president. Mr. President, sir, it's time you speak what you mean and mean what you speak. I think that's where you're losing it all. And Okello says handshake was a very noble idea that actually got lost in the murky world of politics and in terms of succession. When we come back, we'll be looking at now the appointment of judges, which again goes contrary to what the law is supposed to be. I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but a lawyer is here. He will give us the nitty-gritties into this. Did Uhuru Kenyatta, in his style, again, just disregarded law and went out to do what he thinks he wants? This is a Cardinal Talk show. Don't go away. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome again, viewer. If you are getting into this show right now, please continue conversing with us. Our social media pages, Facebook page is Lolwe TV, Twitter handle is at Lolwe TV. You can as well do it on my Twitter handle at Okello7. All these are supposed to be platforms for us to engage. We left here while it was so hot, and like we say, it's only Cardinal here. This way you speak it in the way it's supposed to be. We have to be very close and candid about what politics we are supposed to be playing. President Uhuru Kenyatta, by the close of this week, made sure that the hue and cry about appointment of judges was done. However, he again left a big bombshell, and we don't know why Justices Odunga and other High Court judges didn't even see the light of the day. Reasons for that, based on to the president. However, there is a lawyer in the room here who must give us what it means. What was the president expected to do? Remember, these names were given to the president sometimes in 2019 July. He's been sitting on them for close to 2.5 years. A new Chief Justice is sworn in, and then in just less than 2 weeks, we see names given out, and the Chief Justice during her interview in Parliament, when she faced the Justice and Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee, said that she will negotiate with the president to ensure that the judges are appointed. I don't know whether this negotiation constituted what happened in appointment, or it's just unlocked Bora too. We have judges there. Okello, what is wrong?
What is wrong is a very simple thing, that the real struggle we have in this country is a struggle to put what we call the presidential power under check. That the presidency, how it's constituted, not even within the law, how it's constituted and how it's in operation, is a very strong power that, if not properly checked, can actually mess this country. Nick, if you look, because let's first look at the law. Appointment of judges is a process that somebody does not just wake up and decide. It goes through the JSC. The JSC gives anybody, including the president, members of public, because a judge cannot be appointed without people getting to know that Nick has applied to be a judge. It will even be put to the masses that if any of you has any issue regarding Nick, bring it forth. We want to listen to it, so that we also decide whether does it violate Chapter 6, does it violate competence, does it violate anything that will not make that officer dispense justice. So the first truth is that all Kenyans, including the president, was given an opportunity to give an opinion on why anyone, not only the 6 judges, should not be confirmed as judicial officers. This is before court because technically this matter has been litigated. What the nation did was they presented a report given by National Intelligence. It's something that you can even get on Google. It's not something that I'm creating. Saying that we have adverse, you understand the word? We have adverse information that so and so have integrity issues, and as such should not be confirmed as judges. The first thing JSC did was say that fine, we've received your letter or your memorandum, but also give us the details, even in camera. Like if you say that Mheshimiwa Ogindo has integrity issues, or there are some national security issues. Why, if Ogindo ends up as the president of this country, as a governor, it will be bad for this nation. So the JSC said, we are open, come and give us these things in camera, in detail.
The adverse information.
The adverse information relating to this, they never gave, including the president. Now, JSC said, we cannot stop giving somebody a job based on rumors. Because rumors is saying and not giving evidence. So they went ahead, cleared these people, because as you know, some of these are even serving. Like Odunga is serving. For Odunga is, for example, if you have any issue with Odunga, Ngigi, Chelule, you can even take the issues right now before JSC and says, this person is no longer dispensing justice. They've never brought any allegations against them. These issues, why they cannot be confirmed, is only known to the president. And he has refused even to give Kenyans why he has not gazetted these other 6 judges. To mean, this is somebody who is using, there is a catch where the president, and why I'm telling you that the presidential powers, if not properly trimmed, might mess this country. There is that aspect that a judge cannot begin being a judge before he's sworn in before the president.
Which actually is a formality. So
the president, because this is what the president has submitted in court, that is this supposed to mean that his is just formality, or he can't be heard? That is just supposed to make himself available for the swearing in of his judges. And that is the first thing he first said, that his diary is full. 2, he said, and even with Maraga, that if you people have few judges, let's agree so that you swear some. These other ones, we can still discuss their issues. Maraga said the judgment was all or none. Yes. I've seen this argument within the legal circles, which is something that maybe we also need to think as Kenyans. That one, it is the work of the president to gazette. So there's this argument within the legal circles that if he gazettes, then he has also done part of his work. That is not something that is he supposed to gazette all the 40? Or is he supposed to only gazette 2? Or is he supposed to, like I've seen this argument within legal circles, that if the president gazettes 10, can somebody refuse to swear in those 10, yet he has already done his work? Because there are people who are saying that Koome should go ahead and oversee the swearing in, because that anybody who refuses to swear in these judges will also be violating the law. Because the president, after JC submits to him, he is supposed to be gazetted. In as much as he also doesn't have the right to decide whom to gazette and whom not to gazette. If he gazettes, then can you refuse to swear in the people that he has gazetted? Okay. That is still under debate.
Mheshimiwa, when you deal with lawyers, you go around circles for, you go too far, yet it's just here. And I know, for you as a former legislator, and you know the role of parliament that is supposed to undertake this, and the president who is supposed just to gazette, and then we have this thing done. However, as a legislator who was also a lawmaker in this country, what is your observation of all this happening?
Thank you, Nick. Let me start by saying that I want to agree with Okello that the presidential powers must be checked. And this is what informed the clamor for the new constitution, the 2010 constitution. The independence constitution had heaped a lot of powers on the presidency, where the president would appoint the minister for finance who would prepare budget for this country. The president would appoint judges who would arbitrate on issues and interpret the law. And the president would still remain the president to whom everybody was answerable. In the wisdom of Kenyans, and having felt the oppression under that constitution, there was a big clamor for a new constitution that would decongest power from the presidency. And that is why the new constitution now gives the legislature the power to make the budget in this country. That is why the current constitution now gives the judiciary the independence to arbitrate over legal issues. And to give them total independence, the Constitution says they must have a Judicial Service Commission. The Constitution says they must have a judicial fund so that they have financial autonomy, they have recruitment autonomy. Now, having celebrated the new Constitution upon its promulgation in 2010, our current president is sworn in, and by the oath of his office, he swears to respect and uphold the Constitution. And the Constitution requires of him to nominate the judges upon recommendation of JSC. Now, how he comes to nominate this and leave out this out of the list baffles everybody. But it tells you one thing, that our president finds this new constitution an inconvenience. And that is why there is clamor for BBI to add more powers to the presidency, where we are coming from. And that is why some of us are uncomfortable
with the BBI.
With BBI,
yeah.
Especially the bill now. So I know and understand that the judges have now been sworn in. But I think that act of swearing judges, having left out a few that were recommended for gazettement, is an act in violation of the Constitution, because the JSC has done its part. The president needs to do his part, because his part is, as the head of state, that ceremony of gazetting the recommended judges, that is his part.
Yeah.
And if he's left to get away with this, then the message we are sending to the judiciary is that the president will appoint whomever he wants out of the recommendation by JSC and reject whomever he doesn't like. And that undermines the independence of judiciary, which is a very cardinal thing in the power arrangement in this country. And Kenyans would not want to go back there. And the president, I think, needs to feel the pulse of this country, that we have tested liberty, we have tested public participation. He can't take it away from us.
Well said. These are people who have traveled this path. They know it so well. They know every pothole, they know every bend, and they can articulately speak on it. And that is why they want to zealously defend this constitution, because it gives them the fundamental reasons to be Kenyans, and they're proud of it. So whoever wants to negate any part of this constitution will definitely be seen as an enemy. Mr. President, you stand to answer so many questions even on this. However, I also want to bring you in, Wakili. Doesn't the president also as a citizen have a feeling that XYZ, he's got his advisors, XYZ is not even good for this? What in practice would have been the best thing for president to do at the level where he had gotten the names? Was he supposed to again return it to JSC? Was he supposed to decline? Or what was he supposed to do? Because as it is, what he's just done says he wasn't comfortable with a section of these other people. What was he supposed to do when he had these names?
Nick, there is this generally in any liberal democracy, that any public officer has a duty to give reasons. Like you'll remember that the president can even refuse a bill from parliament, but he has to give them a reason why he's refusing, so that they go back and discuss the reasons he gave. That is what the president was supposed to do in this particular case. He was supposed to come and say, I'm rejecting this person because of this and this and this, and so that JSC goes and consider the issues, just like he gives parliament, and parliament can go and say, fine, let's listen to what the president is saying. Or if parliament feels that what the president is saying, then for them to overrun it, they need a certain number to overrun and tell the president that your reasons are not valid, but they need such a number. It's also the same thing, because the problem is, if you have somebody who is not willing to listen, even within the law, then you don't know at which particular point will he stop listening. Like, for example, the Constitution of Kenya is saying that every president is supposed to serve 2 terms, then hand over. What if he decides that he's not listening, just like he's been not listening, and everybody has been ignoring? Because you don't know when, with what he will not, with what he will not. So, and I think that is what Mheshimiwa is saying, that he needs to get the pulse of this country. So that people tell him that, fine, there are institutions like IEBC said that you are the elected president, and he listened. When JSC talk, he also needs to listen.
Let me add something on that thing that Okello is saying, the question you asked, that the president is the head of state and the head of government. Can't he have an opinion about something?
Yeah.
The answer is yes, and the law, and we say that, and has provisions.
Sure.
And that is why there's always public participation in these appointments. So that when you have something against somebody, which is against public interest, it must be something that is against public interest. Because we cannot say that Nick must not be appointed a judge because
Because he comes from Senate.
Because or something private. Say Nick has not performed in his family duties. That is personal. That is private. But if there is something public and in public interest, then everybody who holds that thing against somebody is obligated to bring it out for verification that indeed this is something that is against public interest, and such a person is not fit to hold a public office. But if you just say, we have something against these judges, and then everybody will have something against everybody.
Yeah, because there's always something against everybody.
Yes.
Well, I don't think there's any other better way to place it. Now, this judiciary seems to be judiciary that is in shackles. We are looking at a judiciary that has begun on a wrong footing under Martha Koome. And it's a signal that must worry Kenyans. During Maraga's time, there were moments that they would say, no, this is the way. If judges are even sworn in, and a feeling is inherent amongst Kenyans, and even legal players like you, that something went wrong, and it's done in the heart of the judiciary, presided over by the president of the judiciary, aren't we looking at a process and a beginning of the system being weakened?
Nick, I don't want to harshly judge Chief Justice Martha Koome, because I've been in situations where you realize there's a big difference between being ideological and saying this is what the law says and being realistic. One, the real truth is that the lack of judges has been causing a lot of delays even in the delivery of justice. I think it was 2 weeks ago, even the Senate raised issues about the Court of Appeal. I think the Court of Appeal remained with less than 10 judges.
There were 7.
There were 7. Just imagine a whole country of 50 million people, only 7 Court of Appeal judges. So here you have Martha Koome, who is supposed to be, one, idealistic and say a no is a no, a law is a law. But at the same time, she also has to, because she'll be judged, these same Kenyans will tell you that there are cases that have been pending from 2010, and none of them moved during your tenure. So I don't want to harshly judge, because once you get to be behind the desk as the final authority, then you have to consider so many things. I know Mheshimiwa Ogenda has been in that situation. If you read most biographies, because you'll realize most leaders try to do biographies so that people tend to know what were the issues. even if you read Obama's The Promise, he tries to explain, because there are certain things that you would look at and you say, he was not supposed to make this decision. He is trying to explain why he went this direction and not this direction. So I will not harshly judge Chief Justice Martha Koome. That one, she also has to deliver on so many things. And as such, she either had to decide that I'd rather take 90% than nothing. I think some of these things can be litigated. Yeah. And I also don't know whether this is harsh, but I'll also say the wait might just be 1 year and Uhuru will be out of power.
you are even foreseeing Uhuru out of power, and maybe
no, constitutionally he has 1 year,
and even the judiciary now say we cannot breathe, which means the judiciary seems to be under the weight of the presidency, that they are feeling the weight. Mheshimiwa, just what is your conclusion in this? Are we seeing a wrong start? Are we looking at a possible weakening of the judicial system, having seen just what has happened about the appointment of judges?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think there's too much public attention in this, deservedly. But I don't want to blame it on Martha Koome. I think I congratulated Martha Koome based on her track record, and I still believe that Martha Koome is going to live to the expectation of Kenyans. But then, Wakili gets it the way I see it, that we got 34 judges out of 40. I think that is progress. I think there is a lot of call out there that this should not be sworn in. It is all or none.
The Maraga principle.
The Maraga principle. I think we have progress. And it was important that the judges were sworn in. Now they are in their respective positions. Now they can assert themselves. Now they can invoke their independence and start demanding that unless our colleagues join us, we are not taking up our responsibilities.
Is that activism in the judiciary, which is not right?
That's not activism. That is, you see, you cannot operate without independence. So we cannot sacrifice independence at the altar of speed. But then, having said that, I know, I still believe that Martha Karua will live to the
Martha Koome
will live to the expectation
of most Kenyans.
Of most Kenyans, yeah. Because with the new constitution, our judiciary has become bolder by day, by month, by year. You remember when there was timidity in the first general election after the promulgation on the presidential election, there was timidity, but the court almost ruled. But then that courage grew, and the court ruled that in 2017 that the elections were irregular. And today, the court continues to rule on the basis of law, notwithstanding who is in the case. So that boldness has become a culture of our new judiciary. And I don't think Martha Koome will